There's a new Apple Pencil that just came out, and I'm mad. Urgh. What do you mean, Rotten Apple? The new Apple Pencil is USB-C, and it's considerably cheaper than the Apple Pencil 2 at just $79. What's not to like about it? Well, to explain how bad this truly is, we must explore the features this Apple Pencil lacks compared to the other entries in the Apple Pencil lineup, and why what they decided to do with this specific Apple Pencil is borderline criminal. Almost as criminal as not subscribing to this channel. That one is punishable by death. Now, in exchange for being the cheapest pencil in the Apple Pencil roster, you should come to expect that there will be some caveats, right? But there are some pros too. I mean, besides the pencil supporting USB-C, it also supports the hover feature that the M2 iPad Pros have. Cool, I guess. It also connects magnetically to iPads that support it, which currently is every iPad in the current lineup and beyond, just like the Apple Pencil 2, which is great. However, it does not charge magnetically like the Apple Pencil 2, hence the USB-C support, which is fine. In return for paying less for an Apple product, you're accepting a little more inconvenience. It is like that by design. Unfortunately though, that's where the pros end. Now we have to get into the cons. Other than the fact that it doesn't charge magnetically, it also doesn't support double tap. And for my Apple Pencil 2 users out there, as well as any artist who draws digitally, you can understand the importance of applying a function from your stylus alone while drawing. It just flows better, you know? But you know what? Having to manually choose every tool you use isn't the end of the world or anything. Plus, the Apple Pencil 1 doesn't either, and it's more closely related to that in price than the Apple Pencil 2. But there's one thing that this Apple Pencil doesn't have that the other two does, which alone is reason enough why I can't recommend this to anyone. This new USB-C Apple Pencil also doesn't support pressure sensitivity. Damn, I should have known they would pull something like this when I realized there was no pressure sensitivity in the freeform app they released last year, which ironically has a pressure sensitive stroke in the logo. Now for you non-artists out there, let me explain why not having pressure sensitivity is such a big deal. You see, pressure sensitivity, or pen pressure, is how your device reacts to how thick or thin the lines you make are. Think about when you draw on a piece of paper. Your lines get thicker the more force you apply, and thinner the less force you apply. Now imagine that in a digital space. Are you starting to see what I'm getting at here? Hell, pressure sensitivity is such an important part of being a digital artist that it is a literal selling point when companies are selling tablets. When you see that a tablet has X amount of pressure levels, that isn't just for show though. When you have more pressure levels, you have the ability to make finer distinctions on how thick or thin you want your lines. It can get real deep, but do I think 8,192 pressure levels are a bit overkill? Yeah, especially since there are some art applications that don't even allow you to go that high. But there are professional artists out there who really benefit from that amount of flexibility. The new Apple Pencil completely nullifies that right. Drawings without pressure sensitivity tend to look more flat, and it can be difficult to portray a sense of three-dimensionality. Now, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with art that doesn't use pen pressure. There are actually a lot of famous artworks that don't use pen pressure, especially animation, like Adventure Time for example. Their line art is consistently the same weight. It can definitely be a great stylistic choice. I mean, look at me. I myself am a great example of that. Ain't I cute? The thing is though, I was intentionally designed with a consistent line weight in mind. It was a deliberate, creative choice. With this new Apple Pencil, there is no choice. Apple took it upon themselves to limit your creativity on a fundamental level, and that's where I draw the line. Pun intended. This new USB-C Apple Pencil isn't a replacement for the first Apple Pencil like it should have been. It's just another option that has the opportunity to confuse any artist, new or experienced, from investing in something that they shouldn't have to think about when dropping a lot of money on a stylus. I mean, there are literal tablets out there that you can get that are cheaper than this new Apple Pencil that meets all of the basic needs of an artist, like pen pressure. So, what's my verdict? Well, this new Apple Pencil is the worst one out of the bunch. And I highly recommend that you just save up for the Apple Pencil 2 I linked in the description below, which is still the best stylus you can buy for iPad. It goes on sale throughout the year, and it's on sale right now for about 30 bucks more than the USB-C Apple Pencil. And that one can actually charge while being magnetically connected to your iPad. However, if you own an entry-level iPad, like the 10th gen for example, you must keep in mind that it does not support the Apple Pencil 2. Only the iPad Air, iPad Pro, and the iPad Mini 6 and above do. Classic Apple to make the cheapest option feel like the kid that sits alone at the lunch table. But don't think I've forgotten about you. I've also linked below great third-party alternatives for people who own the 10th gen entry-level iPads. And for those with an even earlier generation, I gotta recommend the first Apple Pencil, man, which I still think trumps the new USB-C one. Limiting the features of your pen is one thing, but limiting your creative freedom as an artist is something no one should find acceptable. And that is why I think Apple fumbled the USB-C Apple Pencil for iPad. This has been Rotten Apple, and thank you for coming to my TED Talk. If you want to see more of me, you know what to do. That means subscribe and like the video. So I started production on this video soon after I found out the features of the USB-C Apple Pencil, and I took a break on my birthday only to find out that it came out on my birthday. This is my luck, man.